off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of impact puzzles. How's that for subversion? I'm here with Joshua Iron Q Flores.
Woo!
And we're here to talk about the behavior of creating and delivering meaning via value. Value is a form of meaning, and the way we create and deliver value is inherently flawed. Oops. Good job to DeMarcus Cousins, named Finals MVP in Taiwan Beer Leopards Championship. Was in June, but whatever. The creation and delivery of meaning is flawed. The creation and delivery of value is flawed. Human self-righteousness becomes a priority in everybody's behavior, and we seek a pedestal to dictate the meaning and value of other people. And this comes down to the corruption of language. Language is a hive mind tool and behavior that we use to create and deliver value and share an observable reality. Inasmuch there is a trust system involved, where the communicator is trusted to be telling the truth of their observable reality, and the receiver is trusted to empathize with that truth. So when we are seeking pedestals of self-righteousness to dictate the observable reality of another person, we are dictating their meaning, their value, what they observe, whether or not that is true for them. And we do this as a behavioral addiction to dopamine, adrenaline, various hormones that we experience when we take power, social dominance over another person. And this can become addictive. So at scale, we have a hard time communicating as a human creature because of the notion to seek the pedestal to dictate the meaning and value and steal somebody's agency for yourself. And this extends to value, in brackets, as a separate concept, where the economy, commerce, is the language that we use to create and deliver value. And this is again disrupted by a pedestal of self-righteousness to dictate that the value that somebody is contributing to an intellectual property is flat, while the intellectual property itself is able to earn compound value. So for those who are listening back and may not know what flat and compound value means, it means that when you're paid a wage or a salary to work somewhere, you are given the rights and processes to produce a unique result that would not otherwise exist without your contribution. This result and the rights and processes that are afforded to you are packaged and purchased at flat value, meaning that $22 an hour or $16 an hour or $200,000 a year. And these are fixed rates against your contribution. Well, the property that contains your contribution goes on to create a compound rate, meaning that if I design a shirt with a brand logo on it, and that brand goes and sells 200,000 units of that shirt, and they make $14 net profit per unit, my labor has contributed the unique result of that design for the shirt, and that's been purchased at flat value. Well, the result, do the math, 100,000 units times $14 net profit per unit, that is $1.4 million if my math is correct, or 100. We won't go there, right? But I think so. Yeah. I could do a calculation real quick. Math is not my strong suit. Even simple. I even chose these numbers because they're so simple. I was right. $1.4 million. Thank goodness. It was so simple. It's embarrassing that I had to second guess myself. But like I said, my focus is on the creation and delivery of meaning and the creation and delivery of value, not counting systems. Although the impact puzzle is a system of account for rights, processes, and result across from all contributors. And that's a behavioral adjustment we need to make in the creation of intellectual property on the market. We have to start treating every intellectual property, every brand, product, service, experience, and distributed asset as an impact puzzle rather than one unit, one single point origin unit that is managed by an entity that is tasked to produce the highest rate of compound value it can. When we treat the intellectual property as a puzzle, that anchors all contributors into the compound value and treats the publisher appropriate for what it's doing, rather than soaking up 100% of the value that the property is creating. The publisher is now soaking up the appropriate amount of value the publisher itself is creating. And the publisher can then seek a fiduciary obligation across from their specific portion of the property, while everybody else is focused on the quality of experience we're offering the customer, which will inherently lead to more customers. So I'm trying to demonstrate this in a very deliberate behavioral way of building things from the mud, so we abandon our self-righteousness, do not dictate the meaning or value of a pixelated bear, for example, or a lo-fi meme that ends up being archive footage from a influencer series. That's actually really funny if you watch it at that length and you start understanding what the humor is. And we are going to stop transacting our labor at flat value. We're going to stop adding to these verticals, is what they call them, because the line goes up. It goes up vertically. When an intellectual property is successful, that line shoots up. So yeah, they can purchase a design for a t-shirt for $32, but paying somebody $16 an hour for 2 hours to make the design. Then they'll go sell 100,000 units. $14 product net profit per unit. $1.4 million. After taxes, and maybe they won't even pay taxes depending on how they do things, but after taxes, it's a little bit less. But where's the designer's cut? Isn't it appropriate for them to receive 20 to 35% of that position? Isn't that appropriate? Isn't that fair? Now the thing is, if you do that and everybody knows that the designer's getting that cut, you're going to sell more units. So you still might make $1.4 million, because instead of selling 100,000 units, you might have sold 300,000 units. And now you're sharing that cut with the designer, and everybody knows it, so everybody knows that the designer themselves is, they didn't just get paid for the 2 hours, and this is the behavior that everybody's going to be celebrating in the economy, knowing what the impact percentage of every product, brand, service, experience, distributed asset is upon our purchases. And I'm going to be asking the question too. I'll go to a coffee shop. Hey, what's the impact percentage on this cup? What are the workers getting here? Oh, 20%? Perfect. That's how it's designed. Awesome. And we go to a big old conglomerate grocery store like Malwart. Can't say the real name, so Malwart, right? And you ask what the impact percentage there is. They say 2%, which we can anticipate. Or they're sharing 2% of the net profit with the workers. But then you look at the per worker net profit, and it's much higher than the person working at the coffee shop, because of just the rate of value being produced. Again, the customer is going to be making these decisions as to what's fair for the workers and all contributors across each impact puzzle ecosystem. So I did my job. I brought the behavioral science. I brought a team. We're ready to go. We're ready to build these products. We have plenty of customers that have believed in the early build, and now we're ready to demonstrate what this blockchain can do at scale. So we need resources for infrastructure beyond basic survival at this point, to be real. I've got no shame in sharing that. In fact, if you enjoy what we're teaching, I'm going to put my little PayPal link in the chat here. But I would prefer you to buy a piece of impact to develop, to be real. There's no sense in sending me $20 when you get a bear for $20. And then turn that into a song, a merch line, and a new bear for the puzzle, and generate 3 compound value positions for yourself off that $20. You get a character and press pass for I think $35 right now, and develop the character as intellectual property you own. Develop lore with the community, and develop a meme based on the community lore. The memes are the archive of a sports mockumentary that we're making. And these guys are trying to starve me at the market so they can take that for themselves, but we ain't doing that. Come on now. So many folks are in on it. but we breaking through the mold. So let's find. Why does it say? You see this? This is who to follow: Sacramento Police Department and the Sac Sheriff. Why not, right? And the Sacramento Bee and the CBS Sacramento and KCRA News in Sacramento County. They really want me to be a local patriot now. I should do that though. It's fun. Let's share this too. We ready to break free. Maybe it's suggesting all of the police departments because I made a joke earlier on my Twitter where I said these folks are lucky I didn't play Luigi's Mansion. I played Metroid. Can't even say the name Luigi without it being deemed a threat to the upper class. It's like, y'all, from my experience, I think about 70 to 80% of that upper class, they really do want to expand the property ownership. They've been trying to teach people that for days and days and days, but after my last 4 years, I completely understand. People do not want to learn. They do not want to learn, but that's all right. So let's talk about the brand of Let Me Out Productions. We are a intellectual property publisher. More specifically, we're a publisher of impact puzzles, which means that we have a community collective portion of the brand, and we have a central portion of the brand. We collaborate together on determining what Let Me Out Productions produces. So from the community portion of the brand, they develop their pieces of the puzzle into impact franchises. Their results are market sovereign, so they don't have to seek publishing from Let Me Out Productions. But if they do, then we go through a nice symposium collective process of choosing what projects to make from the collective. We give them launch pads, and then the publisher is at 35% of the specific asset we're making, and then none of the franchise. And we'll just sustain that way and facilitate our collective's work. And so we publish impact puzzles. The brand itself is an impact puzzle. It's the first one in history. 16% of the brand is the community developed portion, and that's a slow-moving window as to not create any sort of secondary expectations of secure depositive value. It's a slow-moving window across this reduced discount curve that greatly reduces the objective value of each piece to a more accessible level for consumers. And then as the collective grows, that discount slowly reduces across that window. But at a certain point, if the secondary window does open up that's lower than the sliding discount curve that we have, then the market will be speaking for itself as far as the price of these pieces of impact in the brand. And if they undercut that window, then the window is fixed at those 200 pieces that are able to be purchased from the brand. And if there's 100 pieces on secondary that are all lower cost routinely, then that's what people are going to buy instead. And that's just the free market speaking for itself. And that's perfect. That's absolutely fine. If that caps the growth on our collective at 500 people, then great. If it caps it at 20,000 people, awesome. If it gets to near 80,000 people, each holding a piece of the brand and developing them in impact puzzles, that's ideal. That would be so beautiful. That's ideal, and that would require held hands across this ecosystem. So there's a few things I personally can't collaborate with, of course, but I've been pretty clear on that on my Twitter feed. I don't think it's that drastic, really. There's two parties that we're going to avoid working with. That's the plagiarist in the Film 3 nonsense, and then there's a person here in Sacramento that I'd prefer not to be involved in anything that we're doing at all regarding our work here, because myself and a large contingent of the citizens here feel that they've been extremely poor mannered and poor and acting in poor behavior purely for the sake of doing it, purely for flexing their toes in the boot they're putting on people's neck. So that's not any way to run a multi-billion-dollar business. You can't have that. It's ridiculous. It's no way to run an economy. Can't have that. It's ridiculous. So I'm glad it's out and for everybody to see. Thank you to the Hoop parents for whatever role you're creating in that. So impact puzzle in the brand. Brand is 500,000 pieces of impact. I'm responsible for 23.6% as the founder and as the current chief executive officer. I don't envy or value that position long term, so eventually that will be turned over to somebody who is gone to school and has an MBA and all these things and is in the right position and has earned it. But in the meantime, and then after that, I'll move to a more creative position and just settle in there. 23.6% of the brand anchors. I think it's 3% net profit from the brand, with the rest of it being used on operations or being used to fund the top brass DAO, which is the third-party guarantor. And that happens regardless of if that ownership leaves my possession or not via, in my case, an estate. That's the only way it would leave the possession, the custody of Kamani Okira would be if something happens to my person, in which case it's diversified to all of my nieces and nephews, and then they would run me as a committee, and that will be really fun. So I hope they don't speed that process along. Knowing that, we can. Uncle Kamani goes, no, I'm kidding. They're all sweethearts. So in the brand, let's take a look at our impact tree. And we are demonstrating the behavior for the market. This is the pole position. This is the first thing. This is the way to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you write a deed declaring your intellectual property as a puzzle and only exists as a puzzle with a hard cap of pieces, which means you cannot inflate the supply. There's no adding of pieces later. The only way you could add to the supply, I suppose, is if there's a custody insurance clause in the puzzle, where if one of your customers authentically loses their piece via scam or they didn't listen to the onboarding plan and they only have their secret recovery phrase on their phone and they never backed it up anywhere else, and then they lose their phone and now they can't ever get their puzzle pieces back because their phone's gone. Then we would strike the old pieces and add new pieces, so it wouldn't actually be inflating the supply; it would just be replacing the pieces. So anyway, getting into it. What's up, Josh?
What's going on?
I'm a drone, man. I drone on.
No, you're not. You're the best.
We're on the YouTubes. So we're gonna get into the Let Me Out Productions company ownership tokens. These are the puzzle pieces in our brand, and they are available on Looks Rare. So if you go to www.letmeout.productions, then you scroll down to the company ownership token portion, you can see the window of 8 tokens I have selected available right now, and it is a small window where we've rescued these from a lot of market turmoil. Mm-hmm. So we're focused on just intentionally adding to the collective with people that really want to create impact puzzle results. We're not focused on selling a lot of these at one time. So just keep that in mind. I won't post the OpenSea link, but I'm just using it because it's easiest to sort here. You can see up here, we created the collection in March 2021, 1 month before our sister community brand over at Bored Ape Yacht Club. And this is the first piece. And it was put on the public notary service on March 24th, 2021 at 2:09 p.m. Pacific time. I think that's Pacific time. Maybe not.
Looks like it. You were here when you did it?
I think I was in Sacramento. Yeah, it was probably. It was
you were here,
it was probably in the afternoon. It was either that or it could be 9:09. It's either in the afternoon or it was at night.
Probably
one of those two. But OpenSea's displaying 2:09, which I believe is local time. Mm-hmm. So there we go. This was listed for years ago for 0.031 Ethereum at first because I didn't really know how I wanted to price these. I knew that they were leading to expanding the behavior, but I wanted them to be accessible to the community. And I eventually settled on a pricing system where they're just priced across from their chronology. So number 1 was sold for 0.001 Ethereum on June 16th, 2021 at 4:32 p.m. to a very, very valued customer who has developed, I don't even know how to put it, they've developed this piece so thoroughly they've shown up and done so much with this piece, and anyway, that's one you want most, and you can see they're here and they're on the website of LetMeOut.Productions, and you develop the piece, you develop impact, so you have the rights, you have the process, and you're going to produce the results across from a 15-point impact tree and across from each brand piece. So the first point is impact puzzle development service, which you can do with the publisher without anything due to the publisher. You're buying the piece, there's no fees, you just show up to your benchmarks and you show up for yourself. And you turn any idea that you have that exists as a beginning, middle, and end for a story or a concept, and you bring it into that process. It's called the Voyage of Legacy, and you go through a 56 benchmark process. And you can do this with the guidance of a creative producer here at Let Me Out Productions, as a publisher with full NDA, or you can do it with a community member that's already gone through the process, because we are a collective. So you grab the piece of the brand and you start developing your impact puzzle. The results will be not just the beginning, middle, and end, the distributed asset, the product, the service, the experience, the brand, whatever that you brought us, but containing that asset is a wider franchise, or containing that product, service, experience is a wider brand. And you'll produce a deed to the product, service, experience, distributed asset, and you'll also produce a deed to the franchise and brand. So that's always the result of going through the Voyage of Legacy. It's 2 deeds. A deed to the asset and a deed to the wider window that contains that asset. And now these are market sovereign assets that you have created, and you're in the ownership class of intellectual property because you've developed your own property to then maximize on the market. And that's the whole point. So then, now, number 2. I don't want to make 80,000 pieces. I can sit here for days and days and days and years and years and years and make piece after piece after piece of the puzzle, but I don't want to do it, and it expands opportunity for y'all to help. So we're all making the puzzle pieces together. So if you buy a piece, you get to make a piece. There's a template, it's a square, you fill it with what you want to fill it with, there's a logo, there's a number scheme, and then you just use the template, the numbers, the logo, and make it your art. The logo has the logo has to look pretty much the same, but you know what I mean? Like, make it your art. The rest of it, the text and the and all of that, can be your singular expression if you like. You can animate the thing if you like. If you're animating, submit a GIF or a WebP image, and then when that piece sells, if it sells, you'll get 50% of what Let Me Out Productions receives. How cool is that? And then if it sells again, you'll receive a 5% secondary residual forever, as long as that secondary is enforced by a marketplace. So not all of them enforce secondaries. So yeah, you buy a piece, create a piece. We call this catch and release, and we anticipate a lot of impact puzzles building this way because it just helps. The community can create art. It's now truly a community brand because a good portion of the puzzle is represented by actual art from your contributors, which is amazing. Past that, we have the top brass DAO access and governance. So that is a piece of impact to develop. The top brass DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization that governs the experience of all of our intellectual property development. This is a third-party organization, so in case Let Me Out Productions as a publisher for some reason ceases to exist, all of the property developers can still own and manage the property that they have title to. And they can do it together, and they can publish as the DAO instead of going through Let Me Out Productions as a publisher. The fourth piece of impact is limited content access. It's a little bit weird to think of this as rights process and results, but the thing is, you're going to be able to watch content as a brand owner, maybe first look, maybe exclusive, and then you'll be able to go discuss that content, and your discussion, whenever you leave as your discussion point, your takes, those are your permanent results, and those are unique to you. So that's developed impact in the brand. That does have brand benefit for you, it has brand benefit for us. So, and us is all of us. That never discludes you. Just so you know, when you are a property owner in the Let Me Out Productions Collective, and I'm describing the we and the us, that is everybody who has title to property and is developing that title, developing the rights process and result across from that title. So the fifth one is exclusive airdrops and swag. we've already airdropped a bunch of lore logos, and people are getting a kick out of having their own colorway out of the logo of Let Me Out Productions to use on merchandise and things. So that's pretty fun. And the other nice thing about these lore logos is you can bring them up as a party trick and have everybody come up with an impact puzzle on the spot based on the roles you assign and based on the collaborative imagination of the group. And that's actually a riot. We'll do that on stream relatively soon, but we're right now we are focused on getting things moving on the market because we have to pay bills and we have to support ourselves. We have an official merchandise collaboration where everybody can launch 10 pieces of merchandise. There's no limited editions on these pieces, but the pieces are launched from your company ownership token. So you can use the art of the company ownership token. You can make derivative art inspired by that art, and then go make merchandise and maximize that position. And you're doing this to not only maximize your position, but to also help the publisher, because it's a split revenue stream. It's one of those things where it's like if we're all managing and owning a brand together, we all want to win ourselves, but we also want the publisher to win. We want that brand to win because we're sharing it. We have exclusive airdrops and swag. I discussed that. So that in some cases it'll be on the blockchain like the lore logos. In some cases we'll just, hey, can we ship you some merchandise? Where are you? If you say yes, here's my address. Okay, here you go. Here's some musical bear stuff. Enjoy. Here's a game of Battle Bear Flag. Here's a first look game, box set of Battle Bear Flag. We have the assignment of the 0.0002% intellectual property ownership of Let Me Out Productions brand. This is an impact position because you have to carefully manage this. Like, represent yourself well, represent the community well, represent their products well.
We want you to do it for yourself, your friends, the behavior, the markets, your legacy, maybe, however.
And I'm actually demonstrating this in real time.
Yeah.
The evolution of decorum that it takes to join the property class, I suppose.
Yeah.
And
we're teaching. So
teaching through behavioral examples as well.
Which is another form of teaching.
Yes, exactly. Well, we're artists at the end of the day. That's the only way to actually teach anything is through really effective art.
Yeah, and when you guys get a chance to play the games and you guys get a chance to be a part of the production and be a part of the story, it's all gonna fall into its piece that it needs to be for you, for them, for everyone.
Exactly.
So
just treat the assignment of actual percentage based ownership with respect, if you like, as much as possible. Anybody can join the collective. We're not selective about who can and can't join the collective.
Our biggest thing is just follow the rules that have been provided, because again, the rules are going to help structure everything in the right order, and then at the same time, when it comes down for expansion in the near future, we can always adapt and adjust, and honestly, it's all a community-based thing. So the directions, we just want to make sure that you guys have all that you need so it can be done the right way, and then we can expand moving forward.
Exactly. It's a beautiful behavioral set. So instead of I'll use Winnie the Pooh. I love teaching through Winnie the Pooh because everybody knows Winnie the Pooh. If I teach through our own products, it does seem like I'm shilling a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you like the teachings, buy the products, but we'll teach through Winnie the Pooh. So A.A. Milne, Arthur Milne, I don't know what his name is, but A.A. Milne was the author of Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood. And once he created the first story of Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood, he's created that beginning, middle, and end. He's also created the wider world in which that beginning, middle, and end takes place. So that's all the potential related to the characters and settings that he's created in the initial asset. So these things need to be protected. And the best way to do that is to define them as your property and set the terms. So you define them as your property by approaching that paradigm, if you will, as saying, okay, 100 Acre Wood is my sandbox. It's a sandbox in my yard. And I'm going to set up the rules and the rails. So first you build the sandbox, you pour the sand in. Those are the characters, the settings, the lore that you want to plant, all of these things. The initial story, the beginning, the middle, and end. These can all be the sand that people can play with as they enter the sandbox. And that sand has rules and rails. So the rails are the wooden edges of the sandbox that contain the sand. There's a limit to where that sand goes and where you can build. And then there's a list of rules up on the fence. The things that you can do with the sand, if you can throw it at other people or not, things like that. So the number one rule is don't use the restroom in the sand. It's the number one rule. So don't sabotage people's impact puzzles when it's a waste of money and a waste of your time. I like to think in the impact puzzles I set up to initialize this process, it really can't be sabotage because we can just sort of turn whatever it is into a malleable thing that we can work with. That said, keep it appropriate for ages 11 and up, and we can work with it. That's one of the rules on the sign. For musical bears and press pass. I Am My Only competition collection, the 100 Kobe's we're all collaborating on. I've done 50 of them. You collect one of those edits, you'll be able to download the edit from our back end, and then you provide your own art for that edit. And all I ask is you change that edit within 70% of the pixels on the screen, and then you submit your new take on that edit. Add your signature or your logo or whatever above mine in the same, at the same scale or smaller. Don't have it take over the image, and have it be synthesized with your graphic, meaning stain it the same color or stain it an appropriate color. And then submit that. We'll upload that to the collection if I like it. That's the rule. I probably will, so don't be shy. But if there's genitalia hanging off the thing, I'm not gonna. That's not no. You know what I mean? No. So there's no permissionless uploads for that. This is a centrally approved collaboration because I do have to honor the responsibility of having the titles to those images to begin with, and having the opportunity to have taken those images, and now being a chosen representative of being the blockchain pioneer of professional basketball.
That's cool.
How cool is that? What?
Has it sank yet?
No.
Okay.
It hits me every day in a new way.
That's a good thing.
I'm the blockchain pioneer that professional basketball has chosen, in addition to the Top Shot guys over at Flow, and shout out to Rohan, and in addition to some of the players that have launched things. And I hope they're looking at my work and saying, you know what, some of these player collections that were launched or some of the alumni collections that are launched, these could be rescued via Kamani's work out here. Sorry for the third-party reference. But absolutely. So that should have been done ahead of time. But some of these players did cartoon collections. And we have official merchandise collaboration. You have the right to identify or affiliate as part owner / member of Top Brass. This is another piece of impact, but again, it's something you put on your resume. It's something you put on your LinkedIn. It's a professional position. You're a professional property developer, and you own title to that property that you're developing. You can point to it on the public ledger and say, I own this, and I'm developing this, and this is my result. And Joshua can speak to this firsthand because he's literally doing this every day. That's now his job as a property developer, to maximize his property and do verticals for himself.
And just to give you guys a clarification, I do a lot of stuff, so I've done almost too many things on paper. But when it comes down to the post or the edits, this is stuff I'm learning. So as everyone is looking at this as how do I make an impact or how do I get involved, we're having one-on-one classes. We're having different types of spaces that we're doing. We're streaming, we're going live. For me, I've been more in front of the camera. I've done a lot of, things, with different projects, productions, Netflix, here and there. I've done a lot. So the goal now is to really bring, all of this to one place and centralize it and also really make an impact.
Centralize while decentralizing. So we're centralizing on the creator rather than the corporate result. And we're decentralizing to the community. And we're decentralizing to the community to create the revenue streams that are shared between the property and the community that sustain everybody.
Yeah.
They'll actually sustain the corporate interest, at a higher rate than the current model.
Exactly.
And they're all figuring that out very slowly, and I welcome them to not keep me on hold for an hour next time. So,
they're putting him on hold for a reason. And
it's training. I get it.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Yeah, but I don't want Josh to discount himself either because.
Oh no, I never will.
No. I gotta uplift you because well, I don't want to give away too much of your story, but he was in he's a United States Air Force veteran and for over a decade, and as such, he brings a wealth of experience to building people.
Heck yeah.
And that's what intellectual property is.
Yeah.
It's the people that build it and the people that network to create a result.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about experience, that needs to be a featured part of the discussion is what Josh brings to the table. I'm having a brother that was in the Navy. I cannot abide by people not treating our servicemen and women with professional respect, and including themselves. So. Yeah.
We're gonna do it, and this is all every day, one step at a time.
Running an airfield, or running a carrier, or running a mission, or running anything in the military is it
takes time.
The stakes are different because
Always.
Here, when I'm
day.
running a set for, I don't know, like Showtime or something, like what was it, the Religion of Sports thing that Gotham and myself and a couple others did for Tom Brady's company a couple years ago. That's the stakes are high because we're talking to Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. We don't waste these people's time. We're talking to the general manager. We're talking to the media relations guy. That guy's a sweetheart at the Warriors. He's such a sweetheart. Top of the class, that guy. he's a little shorter than me. He's bald. He always dresses to the nines. He's a great guy. I forget his name though. If I saw it, I'd be like, oh, duh. But yeah.
Bookmark.
Yeah, for some reason it's like my brain says Roger, but I know that's not it.
I know a few Rogers.
I know a few Rogers too. Roger Mario. Or Roger Romeo, sorry.
Roger Romeo.
Yeah, the worst name to have in the Air Force.
Man. It's a good name. R&R.
So yeah, so that's our team. Our team is all people that know how to build people. We know how to share the understanding that you deserve to exist, and that nothing can take that away from you. That is the inherent light of existence that burns in all of us. And that is also the light of existence that needs to burn at the heart of your creativity to produce results. And you have to, not at sacrifice of family, but sometimes at sacrifice of friends who may not be contributing to your greater good. You have to marry that light that's at the center of your existence. You have to embrace the light that's at the center of your creativity to create these results, and you have to embrace the mission to create these results. And that's the only way the results are ever created. So here we provide a service to help people start their mission. We guide them along that mission to those results that they own as sovereign material they can go maximize. If they want help maximizing it, then they pitch it to us as a publisher, and they already know the terms. They're going to be at 30% of the asset. The publisher will be at 35% of the asset and govern the way the asset works on the market. 20% of the asset will go to the team that's building the asset. 10% will be sold to finance the production across from a community development portion that's sovereign itself.
Exactly.
So that's the model. That's the impact puzzle baseline. That's the LMO structure. It also leaves a 5% tail there to include unions and guilds for union relevant properties, which showbiz, I just always want to include unions and guilds. So very simple numbers, very easy to set up infrastructure on, easy to execute, and I'm seen as the most dangerous man in America for this because it's open source and anybody can come and launch an impact puzzle. The great news is you don't have to use the same numbers I'm using. If you want to come in and say, hey, we're a publisher, we're at 80%, and a creator, you're at 5%, go for it. But you still have to compete with us fairly. Okay? So don't let it bite at you at the heels. That's what we're saying. It's like we know we got all the momentum, and we know there's somebody out there with a finger on the red button that's ready to go. There's a few of them, actually, quite a few. So the whole economy should honestly start really getting into the nitty gritty of the impact puzzle, and start looking at all brands, products, services, experiences, distributed assets as these properties, as these sandbox properties that we share. All of them are already built as sandboxes. I do want to be clear; they're already built with rules and rails and regulations. All of them. So this is how it already works. When I go work for Best Buy at store number 10,000, and I go work for a camera department, there's 3 people working cameras, 4 people, 5 people working cameras. It's a small store in the mountains, but it does well. And we have a budget to make of $50,000 a day. So that department's producing $7,000 to $10,000 net profit a day. We're each paid $160 a day. Now, mind you, that's the store producing $7,000 to $10,000 net a day. And all of the other logistics, all of the downline has already been taken care of in the profit stream. So this is the store selling the resulting product off the shelf and producing a $7,000 to $10,000 net profit average a day. And the labor that produced it is 3 people being paid. Let's be generous and say it's $200 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So the store purchased the labor to sell it at $200, and they turned that labor into $7,000 to $10,000 every day. Every day. And this is like, you're asking people to keep showing up and participate in exchanging their labor, selling their labor, their property, for $200, and then that property is then converted into a vertical of $7,000 to $10,000 that day, and they know it. They know it that day, and then so the next day is the same thing, and it's like, can you guys share a fifth of that? That's what we're asking. Can you share a fifth of it? 20%. Can you share a fifth of it? I think you can. And I think you have a fiduciary obligation to share a fifth of it, because across from that labor distribution model, remind you, in a corporate legacy system with my model, you're at 65% of the property. You're the creator and you're the publisher. So that's the combination, 65%. 20% of labor, that's 85% accounted for. 10% sold to the community that's helping you build that property. And you set the terms. It can be a merchandise collaboration. Great, that's compound revenue stream across from every title. It can be a content collaboration. Great, some of the content might do well. It can be a storytelling collaboration with some sort of lore or art or some sort of result that gets contributed and networked into that brand or into that product, that service, the experience, the distributed asset, the rights, process, the results, the impact that is titled to the contributor, networked into the result. So now, off a 100,000 piece puzzle, okay, let's say A.A. Milne turned Winnie the Pooh, 100 acre window, 100,000 piece puzzle. So he says, okay, I'll keep 30%. I'm going to work with Let Me Out Productions as the publisher. And they're going to seek separate distribution. Let Me Out Productions will not be the distributor. We hold ourselves to the Paramount decrees. So he trusts us to seek that distribution separately, which will maximize the distribution revenue. Great. So he's at 30% of the specific film, and he's at 100% of the franchise. So Let Me Out Productions then accommodates the 20% distribution to labor. The person voicing Pooh, the person voicing Tigger, the person voicing Rabbit, the artists, the people putting snacks on the table. Everybody who's involved in the production of Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood is sharing 20% of Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood. And there's an algorithm that I put together that determines the actual weight of contribution based on time, liability, and expertise. And you can arrange your property, you can arrange that 20% into subholds. You say 5% to performers, 3% to producers, 6% to artists, 3% to assistants. And then you break that down. And then out of all of those pools, you count up everybody's time, liability, and expertise. So you can even do micro pools to separate out managers and from workers, etc. I recommend just keeping it to the labor pool of title, meaning performers, because it'll balance itself out. So when your lead performers are showing up and they're spending 16 hours a day because they got to sit down and make up for 3 hours, and then they got to go shoot, and then they got to get out of makeup for another 2 to 3 hours, that time adds up versus the supporting role that's there half of the time and they don't have to sit in makeup at all. They just show up ready to go. So the person who is there 16 hours a day across from 140 days total, maybe across from a 220-day shoot, and the person that's there for 60 days, for 12 hours a day, they're going to own a port. That's how you count it. We do half-day blocks, 6 hours, 6-hour blocks. And then, so the person who's working 16-hour days has 3 blocks a day. The person who's working 12-hour days has 2 blocks a day. Those blocks are added up at project wrap, and that's how you get your percentage of impact from that micro department. It's actually really great. And you do the half-day block thing so people can't cheat time. I've produced enough of these things where people will say, oh, okay, you know what? Yeah, if you're doing it per hour, then people will find a way to spend hours and hours there. If you do it for your half-day blocks, it's much easier to manage because I can get somebody offset in 5 hours. Like, yeah, if you're only supposed to be there for 4 or 5 hours, we'll get you out of there. That we'll make sure of that because we won't want, and everybody else will make sure of that too because they don't want you to be cheating another half-day block out of the pool. That's the great thing, community enforcement. So
It works.
it does work. So you have in legacy productions again, like Warner and shit. You guys are at 65%. Warner and shoot. Dang it, I did it. Doesn't matter.
You got it.
Warner Brothers, like, you know, if you're doing Batman or something, DC or whatever, DC might be the creator at 30%, Warner might be the publisher at 35%. They sell 10% of a lore crafting product to the community, and maybe they're doing 1,000 years before Gotham City. Doesn't exist. That doesn't exist in the lore. You know what I mean? Like, this is the stuff that does not exist. So, again, the rules and the rails are there. So Batman and the Joker exist. Everything that's ever happened with those things is canon and all the different storylines and multiverses. But what happened 1,000 years ago? Who's Batman's great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy? You know what I'm saying? Bat Knight.
Yeah, right?
Bat Knight. It's actually dope.
Sounds like a Meta Knight collab.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like a medieval Batman in a knight outfit. Now we're cooking up. And now you're giving your keys, a little bit of keys, to the audience to do that fanfic, that fan collaborative lore. But it's official. It's official canon. So now, even if it's in a pocket universe, if it's in Batman 52 instead of Batman 1, main timeline, it's in the 52nd timeline. Okay, great. Doesn't matter. Because it's somebody who is a title-owning property developer in Batman who has loved Batman their entire life. This is going to mean everything to them. Everything. And I tell you guys this as James Earl Jones' grandnephew. Some people, when they learn that, they get tears in their eyes, and I get weirded out because I never met the guy. But they get tears in their eyes. So when I ask the agents that work around our family and I say, hey, you know, what do I do about this when people find out?
Where I live now.
It's like I feel it tacky and irreverent to bring up. I really do. You know what I mean? I'd already told Josh too. I was like, hey, like only people that really should know, that need to know in the business should be clued into it because the person on the street, you never know who's like a super Star Wars fan, and then all of a sudden they're running up to you with tears in your eyes and asking you to do things.
Yes, do them.
And then so what the agents tell me, they say, hey,
be safe.
Well, they gave me really good advice. They say, hey, let it mean what it needs to mean to the people who need it to mean it. To the people who need it to mean something. Because that's the blessing. Those are the streets that were paved.
Of course.
It ain't me. I got nothing to do with it. But I do share the blood, so it's like, okay. Yeah. If somebody's going to lose their mind over me going, you are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed, as Obi-Wan did. Okay, that was kind of terrible. But still.
It works.
I can get there after like a coffee or a tea, which does sound brilliant. But still, we have to run in about 10 minutes. So what we'll talk about real quick, we talked about the right to identify or affiliate. Each piece of the puzzle is its own story world seed, so it's meant to be developed itself into a franchise or an asset named after the piece. But that's up to the developer if you want to do that. You're not beholden to that. You don't have to develop that. You can develop anything you want, and you can do it time and time again. But if you only have one piece, you can do it one thing at a time. You have to have 177 pieces of the brand to be developing multiple things at a time with our guidance. So unless you have that hold of impact, then they'll be working one asset at a time, and you'll be going through the process to complete the result every time. If you don't complete the result, we can't help you we can't help you then with the next thing because we want you to complete the first thing. And that is something creatives do need guidance on. guys, everybody out there, I've been producing results, hardcore, high-level results for 20 years. And I'll tell you what, that's about 30% of what I could have been producing because there's a lot of stuff that I've left on the shelf. And that's true for all of us. So we all need to get in the habit of doing what we say we're going to do. And getting the result done across from the mission, because there's no such thing as there's burnout, but don't burn out of your dreams.
Never.
And that's what a lot of us are beaten up and forced down funnels. I'm currently in one, but I'm in a jovial mood because it's like it's like a weird thing where it's like everybody knows what's going on, and yet it's still happening. So it's just like, okay, how long? How long does this need to continue? Do we really need to do this? Like,
until you can't go anymore.
Until I can't go anymore?
Yeah.
I've been doing this my whole life, though.
Okay, well then, keep doing it.
They think that causing me pain is like a thing, and it's like, dude, I've been in pain I got a grave disability of fried intestines. That's the most uncomfortable thing ever. So there's nothing that can be done to me in the market, in the economy. You guys can ignore me all you want. You can ignore the March 2021 mint dates. You can ignore we exist. You can ignore our impact on people. You can ignore the trainings that we did in the market that taught people how to think of organizing intellectual property this way. And then everybody sought to trade value positions. Now, I want to be clear, we did not intersect with Board Ape Yacht Club. We have got nothing to do with them. They've got nothing to do with us. We're completely sovereign from each other. It's just this happenstance that we minted within a month of each other. That's pretty cool, I think.
We're friends.
Now we're friends. Beginning, I was like, these guys, it's esoteric. It's like racist with the piff hats and the safari hats. It's offensive to me. And then you start understanding, oh, it's deliberately offensive because they're making fun of the esoterica that runs everything, which also has a lot of deliberately offensive imagery hidden everywhere. That's sort of the thing. That's sort of the joke. So here it's like more blatant and more like cartoonish and in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really hidden. It's like in your face. And so if you take a step back and you don't look for something to get offended by, and this is something I'm guilty of too. This is the advice coming from somebody who's healed from this. If you take a step back and you don't look for something to get offended by, oh, the piff hats, those are from the colonizers, the Rhodes Army in South Africa. They killed a lot of black folks, and that makes me mad as an Afro-Indigenous person, right? Like, that's understandable. It's an understandable position. Scale back. I understand why I could be offended. And now I say, okay, in the wider context of their intention, whether or not I approve of that specific symbol, within the wider context of their intention, they're making fun of the pyramid with the eye on the dollar. You understand? Like, that's the thing that they're making fun of. In this case, it's a piff hat on an ape, and that's funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the look in the eye of Thomas Jefferson on the $2 bill. Is he on the $2 bill? I don't remember.
Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah. He's on money, and the only reason I remember he's on money is because he specifically requested to never be on money. They did it to him anyway.
It might be $2 bill.
I think he is on the $2 bill, and I think he's on a coin too, like a 50-cent piece. Mm-hmm. And then maybe JFK's on a coin too.
JFK definitely is on a coin.
He's on like the silver dollar, I believe.
He's the 50 cent.
Yeah, okay.
Or him and...
Let's figure this out, YouTube chat.
I want to say...
always keep a silver dollar on you if you can. Yeah, it is Kennedy.
It's Kennedy? I was right.
That's $50. Kennedy, Kennedy, can he die? No? Don't come after me, Secret Service. I'm a safe little fluffy bunny over here. Knock it off. I'm not kidding. Like I said, I don't play Luigi's Mansion. That ain't me.
I like Luigi's Mansion. That was a great game.
Well, I never played it, honestly.
Well, you need to play it.
I was never really a Luigi fan.
Bro.
Well, now it's hard to talk about, right?
There's a little green in here.
Because you say it the wrong way, the Secret Service is going to come after you. The FBI going to come after you. Oh, there's another... Okay, so by the way, anybody can hit my PayPal. Can I just say it that way? Anybody can hit my PayPal. Because we need resources today. Like, just a couple grand even. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would prefer it all to come through property. But for some reason, given the pole position that we have in the market, and I guess my nature against expected decorum. I'm a punk rocker. It's always going to be the case. It's always going to be the case. Just compare me to Eric Andre. You know Eric Andre with his troll show? He's hilarious. That's an actual brand risk, right? That's the actual guy that's like, causing a ruckus and all these things. I don't cause a ruckus. We're just trying to share ownership with people based on the contribution. And the people that own everything are trying to prevent that. It's just whack. But it's not all of you. Some of you want to see it done.
I think everybody wants it done the right way.
Yeah, well,
or
give us more resources.
Whatever way works best.
Get our immediate team off the ground. I understand that we're an unknown entity at this point, and that's why I'm like, it's not like I'm not new to this. Send people out. Let's work. Let's get stuff done. I have recommendations on the people. Like, I got people in those networks too. I got recommendations on the people to send out to advise us on these things, on the things that I don't know about, on the things that I'm rusty on, because it's been years since I've managed a multi-million-dollar set. And we need resources, again, to take care of everybody at the collectively bargained rate on PressPass. Okay, back to this. Sorry. Story World Seed for IP Impact Puzzle Development. We measure achievements in your collection, so when you get to certain amounts of pieces as you grow, your rights expand, and your voting expands, and your bounties expand. Custody insurance, we mentioned this earlier, where if you lose a piece of the puzzle, then we will replace it, and strike the old piece from working in the ecosystem, because it's super easy to do. I don't know. If you don't code the ecosystem into the title, and you code the ecosystem around the existence of the titles, it's very easy to govern that. And have community govern that as well, in case there's no publisher. Personal agency deeds and enforcement. Okay, your physical and cognitive likeness is your property, and you can enforce infringement on that property if you have a deed to that property. So write one, mint it to the blockchain for impartial witness, and then enforce that deed as it exists and defines and claims your property with terms. And if anybody infringes on those terms for AI use, you can hit them with first a cease and desist, and then if they cause any damage to your business or to your brand or to your person,
they already did.
And they already did.
Already happened.
And it's established via the violation of your property deed.
That's the reason why we're writing the report.
That's the reason why we have it in the first place. So I always send a cease and desist first, because I'm a nice person, and that's just like what the expectation is.
He likes to warn them before they get in trouble.
Well, they usually don't do anything. They usually keep messing with you, and then you hit them with the actual thing. But for me, I'm trying to, again, guys, I'm a scientist trying to teach a behavioral adjustment. I am not a market capitalist. This is going to make a lot of money for everybody involved who develops a result if the market likes the result.
All the artists are going to win.
But I'll tell you, like, I don't know what the hell. Why do I have to compete with all this nonsense to get a science established? This is ridiculous. So we share marks of trade at Let Me Out Productions Collective. So we got we got a list of marks of trade that expand as we grow, but like impact puzzles and community storytelling, community gardens, things like that. Vader Blood model. The Vader Blood model. The Vader Blood. Okay, I'm not getting there today. It's okay. So you share these rights of marks of trade, and then I also mention the full NDA that you have as a developer, a property developer. So that means your rights, process, and results are protected by an NDA. And then when you get to your result, that's your market sovereign result unless the terms say otherwise. Like in PressPass, your content is somewhat market sovereign, but for example, you're not going to seek separate distribution deals outside of what PressPass is seeking. But you can submit your shorts, and you can compile your shorts into a longer film and submit that to film festivals or do your own local theatrical, own local theater circuits. So if you want to say, oh yeah, I got 5 theaters in the area, let's arrange them to play all of our content for PressPass over the next few weeks, because we've done 5-minute clips out the Watsu.
Yeah.
And we have 300 of them, which is a lot of film. That's like that's the feature. Yeah. That's a whole micro series.
And again, everything is connecting to this stuff. So all the other projects outside of this, we can collaborate on those as well. We just want to get this one, pretty much, we want to get this one up and running since it's ready to go.
Yes. So the ideally speaking, we can sell 3 or 4 company ownership tokens to the folks that have been interested in building the brand. And what that building the brand is simply building your own impact puzzles, because the minute you have a successful impact puzzle in the market, even sovereign, even in competition with us, if that's how you want to look at it, we still enjoy the brand benefit because you're a property developer of Let Me Out Productions brand, the original impact puzzle on the blockchain.
Everybody wins.
So we just win. We don't need to tax. We don't need to seek rent on that position. It's ours. Like, okay, great. You developed that where? LMO? Oh, you're one of those? Cool.
You're one of those.
You're one of the original. You're one of the OGs. Cool. So that's what's going on here. We have muted C available for I think $280 right now. Moss C, Raspberry C, Grass C, Sapphire C. CC, Mustard C, all of these are between $280 and $310 right now. So I think there's a $30 window of fluctuance. These are the solid color pieces. You can launch impact puzzles from these pieces. The solid colors are my goofy way of doing the holographic pieces of the puzzle, because I am a notorious performance artist that sort of subverts in nonsense ways, and I think it's okay to give people the scarcity of these, so every 500 pieces will feature 10 solid color pieces. And then that's the rate of holographic in this puzzle. So we're only making 80,000 overall for the community. And then in the private hold, I'll make sure there's no solid color pieces. And if there anybody who's like, well, I really want this color, I'll just make them do a gradient. You know what I mean? Like if any of our creative boards are like, oh, I want 100 pieces, they're all purple. Okay, well, they're going to all be...
They can make them.
Yeah, they can make them. That's actually the idea.
Yeah, we just want them to be able to be the artist. We've done our part. Now everyone do your part.
Yep.
However, we have a start for you, and then you can take off and show us your version of it. Again, everyone's supposed to have their own version of this in their own way. Musical Bears is a good way to
That's what
see
we're talking
that.
about next.
Yeah.
We have a meeting in about 10 minutes that we're going to hang up here. I don't know if we're going to go to the cafe now, because...
We're going to figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But, okay, so... after the brand is the original impact puzzle. That's the original presentation of thought and behavior on the blockchain for this exercise. And for the most part, I forgive a lot of the people for getting it wrong, because it was introduced to them by somebody who has no authority over what my work is whatsoever. And a bunch of people uplifted that person, and then they ran away calling themselves the architect of my work under a different name. And for them, I'm concerned for them. I think it's concrete in a cot territory, because they did liquidate about $44,000 from the community after doing this so far. And then if any investor like Mitch is somebody who's put significant resource behind this liar, if he feels defrauded, if he feels like this lady fraudulently advertised,
sounds like she did.
Yeah, then there might be consequence for that, Mitch. Right, Mitch? Right, Leo and Romy? Don't you guys feel like you've been fraudulently advertised to?
Man.
And you put resources into that fraudulent advertisement? Okay, let's get on.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stories.
I'm just rubbing the eventual victory in the face of these goons, you know.
Of course, you know, and again,
to our payment network partners, please send us like $25,000 tomorrow. You hear me? Why not? Q4 excess, let's go. We're just going to use it to stabilize ourselves and then buy merch and do ads. And we're gonna focus on bears for now. And if it's behind the scenes, then great, because that means it won't trigger any market cascade. If it's on the market, then do it through my basketball shots, because if it triggers a market cascade for my basketball shots, that's awesome. So let's talk about the impact puzzle of Let Me Out Productions. We discussed 15 points of impact to develop when you buy a piece. Your results are always going to be unique, and with 15 points of impact, that's 15 unique results. So every individual, we're going to have a wildly different ecosystems of impact puzzles across this build. And the first impact puzzle launched by a community member is the Pan-African United Community Advocacy brand. And that's a brand. That is not a showbiz product. That is a non-profit organization's brand.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
So yeah.
So that has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And this is without anybody. Hey, we ain't doing a Web3 nothing. We ain't doing the wars. We ain't doing the clout. We ain't doing the marquee. We're here to do a behavioral establishment. And that behavior is to disrupt the self-righteousness that dictates meaning and value. It ruins our ability to communicate with each other. And it ruins our ability to collaborate on the economy. Because now we have all these people dictating value as flat and extracting compound. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through the first brand. Now we're going to go through the second impact puzzle ever launched really quickly. This is easy to do. Musical Bears. Let Me Out.
Productions.
Almost. I left him hanging there, and I did not tell him we were going there. So it's a Let Me Out Crypto Bears musical. Bears.
Crypto Bears.
A Let Me Out Crypto Bears musical. Established on March 27th, 2021 at 8:59 a.m. First registration. The first bear we ever sold. The first bear freed from the zoo is number 9, Craft Mine Bear, and he was freed on March 28th, 2021 at 2:16 p.m. And look, this is on the public ledger, so I don't have to, there's no cap. There's no ability to cap here. You have to tell the truth. You have to tell the explicit, exact truth of the record. Otherwise, anybody would be like, oh, well, like, let's say I lied and said this came a day earlier. I said it sold immediately. Oh, yeah, we sold that on March 27th, 2 minutes after I minted. And somebody looks like, no, you didn't. So this is Craft Mine Bear, baby. Look at him. Look at Craft Mine Bear. Josh is going to make a play on this guy. He's going to try to get him.
He's a crafty one. That's for sure.
And he was minted March 28th, 2021. This says 7/16/45. Is that what this record says? Okay, so on here it jumps 5 hours, but the Pacific time was 2:16 p.m., 45 milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second impact puzzle in history. It's a unique, innovative, and collaborative story that combines the worlds of art, music, community storytelling, social media, and blockchain technology while deflattening the bear market. Crypto bears are in hibernation in the Ethereum Zoo. They want to be free, be seen around on cool clothes, and sing songs together. Purchase a bear to let them out. This puzzle serves as a simple cognitive linguistic tool for the translation of labor into property and a value-assured relationship for both the original artist and the registered collaborators who are called bear keepers. Join our community story as a bear keeper. Make a custom bear for someone else to join the story with. Step number 1. Well, you don't have to do these in order, but this is just the collaboration as we describe it. So there's a 4-point collaboration. The first point is you make a new bear for somebody else to join the story with. There's a template that you can either print out and then paint on, or use crayons or markers, colored pencil, however you want to do that. Then you can take a nice high-res photo on your phone and then upload that, and then take a separate photo or do a separate graphic and upload that as the background. We'll composite them and we'll put that in the puzzle as your legacy piece. Or you can use the digital template on Photopea or Photoshop and make a bear using digital art. And you can fill all the spots with custom art. You can use some AI to a reasonable extent to do your fillings and your textures, as long as you're not specifically ripping off any artist, like by, hey, do a Banksy, and then we'll put a Banksy in the bear. Like, no. Banksy's a real person, and he or she is alive, and they never gave you license to create a derivative of any of their work. So that's how I view that. Just be creative. And here's my hack. Long dead Renaissance artists, Creative Commons, baby. Theodore Jericho, one of my favorite ones, because he painted people of all creeds and color. So his work reference, body of work is really great, and so the output is really diverse as well. Theodore Jericho, everybody look him up. Jericho spelled with a G and ends with a T, so you figure that out.
Facts.
Dumbass French people.
What?
Okay.
What?
So after you make a new bear, or before you make a new bear, you don't have to do this in any sort of order, you can curate and design and price 8 pieces of fashion or merchandise with the bear you registered. So I'm wearing a shirt, Philip the Bear's paw claw shirt. Josh is wearing the Here First Bear Bear and Lair shirt, the blue version, the water bear version. And that one is holding up phenomenally well. I actually really like that blue take. It's a good look. And he's wearing the Safari overcoat, the Safari lab coat. As behavioral scientists, we have interesting lab coats, and that is the interesting lab coat. So the merchandise is limited to our vendor offering, which right now is Tom's platform and infrastructure at Viral Style, and they're great. Everything we do is through free tools with Impact Puzzles. So we set up a community server on Discord. That's the publisher server. We set up the autonomous organization using DWork. That's for the top brass down. They run everything. They run all the properties in case Let Me Out Productions somehow ceases to exist as a publisher. We use what else we use? We use Reddit as a discussion space. I'm not a big Redditor myself. I'm on Twitter for podcasting.
Twitch sometimes.
We do Twitch for streaming. We use YouTube for streaming. All of these are free tools. And they're free tools that do allow you to own your results as your property. They have certain licensing things that they can affect your work with, but all of the tools that we use ultimately have your work in that tool as your property. So that's the other side of it. So after or before you make a new bear, you curate and design and price merchandise with the bear registered. You sing a maximum 1 minute length song to the musical to add to your social media musical. Sing a maximum 1 minute length song to add to the social media musical story about your bear. Mm-hmm. So the bear that you have title to, you're going to sing a song about your bear, and you're going to do it by shrinking your head down over the mouth of the bear.
Oh no.
So you shrink your head down on a green screen. Just use green screen filter on Instagram. Shrink your head down over. And then record yourself singing the song or lip syncing to your recording. And then upload that clip without title, like it should just be blank, to our collaboration space. Now if you want to do something really fancy, like start the frame, 3 seconds of the frame with your head shrunk down over the bear, and then jump into a wild animation or a wild live action thing that you shot. And then exits to an additional 3 seconds of your head down on the bear. That's totally fine. I'd love to see that.
So in order, if you guys can't visualize this, you have to go.
It just needs to have a looping mechanic.
Yeah. And
so
and watch his. He already has a couple of them already done. He actually has quite a few done, so you guys can get some ideas. If you don't have an idea, again, this is the time to watch this stuff.
And I'll tell you, I'm particularly terrible, so don't feel
He's not that bad.
Well, that's what everybody's telling me. But don't don't feel like you're inadequate or you can't do this.
He's actually really good.
Like literally everybody has a music inside of them. That's part of being human. So find that music, contribute to the musical, sing on a bear, launch a fashion line for yourself.
Sing your song.
Launch a new bear for somebody else to enjoy. Then the song is yours. The bear is yours. So after the official fashion collaboration, you can expand to the market however you want to go. But learn from the behavioral work that we're doing, because we are trying to also teach you how the market respects scarcity. So with the 1,000 units of each piece of merchandise, eight pieces, 1,000 units each, that's a very scarce market. It's extremely limited. So the idea of that is that the scarcity should drive people who are collectors and people who appreciate the project to buy that. All of it's extremely affordable, even with shipping and handling. I want Tom, if you listen to this, please just include shipping and handling into the sticker price.
Why not, Tom?
Just do it. Like, why do we have to have a surprise on the cart? It's so easy just to do it ahead of time. I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? So there you go, Tom. We love saying your name, Tom. Tom is a big thing. So we're gonna wrap this up.
You're the guy, Tom.
Real quick. So we have a 4-point impact here for the bear. Make a custom bear for somebody else. Curate and design 8 pieces of merch with 1,000 units each that the publisher manages from our marketplace. You earn 50% product net profit per unit. Sing a maximum 1 minute length song to add to the musical story about your registered bear. If it's really good, I'll let you go up to 3 minutes. But don't everybody test me with that, because I'll shut it off at a certain point. And then you have to be one of the first 2,300 people in the puzzle. 2,300, I want to be clear. You have to be one of the owners of the first 2,300 bears in the puzzle to make a new bear. It cuts off at 2,300. I might go a little bit longer than that, just depending on how many bears I've done at that point. But
again, this is to start you guys with just the example. It's up to you to decide how far this goes with your own
exactly
world.
And here's an example of a natural community expansion we've done out of the Musical Bears franchise. So Joshua here and I were cooking up a few, at this point probably 6 or 7 weeks ago. We were chatting, we were working on our client, and we were chatting about Musical Bears, and he's loved the project since the start. And I was saying, okay, well, I want to do like this. I've been thinking about doing some sort of capture the flag type thing, and well, the way Josh is, he's like, well, just do it. He's like, don't, because I've been thinking about it for years, and I am that way too. But sometimes I need to push over the cliff. I'm that way too, but like I'm only that way about maybe 10% of my ideas. And the other side, you get that. Should I? Could I? Would I? Should I not?
Do what you know.
You know. And he's like, nah, let's just do it. So we sat down, we brainstormed, we came up with a really fun way of playing Capture the Flag called Battle Bear Flag, where you have a 4-corner. I'm going to use the gummy bear map because it will make more sense.
Yeah, the board.
And we've converted the field. There's a field game and a board game. It's the same game. The board game is a turn-based square-by-square movement strategy game, tactics game. And the field game is a flurry, live-action blast of fun that everybody can play, all ages, all abilities. Yes, you heard that right. So there's advantages. There's literally positions where it could be an advantage to be somebody who is moving a little bit differently because you're differently abled or you're in a wheelchair. So this game really does respect and include everybody that wants to play, and I cannot wait to see how it works out.
It's rated E for everyone.
Rated E for everyone. And then the musical itself is rated ages 11 and up. Not by a ratings board or anything, but it's just my personal rule as the artist.
It's just a really good time.
I demonstrate in Press Pass 2 and Musical Bears how we push the boundaries. So in Battle Bear Flag, there's a 4-corner field, and there's 2 alliances that are competing to unite their flags in the center of the field. These alliances start in opposite corners, and one alliance is called the Paw, the other one's the Claw. And they all have their own color. So for the default is red for Team 1, blue for Team 2, which are opposite each other, and then green for Team 3 and yellow for Team 4, which are opposite each other. So Team 1 and Team 2 are trying to unite their flags in the center, the Union Zone, before Team 3 and Team 4 unite their flags in the Union Zone. And then there's elemental bears. We're not going to get into the rules right now. We have to go to a meeting. But there's elemental bears that can tag each other out based on the element that they feature and based on the element of the bear that they're tagging out. So, for example, a water bear can tag out a fire bear, but a fire bear cannot tag out a water bear. A fire bear can tag out a flora bear, but a flora bear cannot tag out a fire bear. A flora bear can tag out a water bear, but a water bear cannot tag out a flora bear. So these things have a cycle to them and a balance to them, and they have movements that they use on the field and on the board game. So I encourage everybody to go check out these games. They are on the Musical Bears wiki, and they are a great example of how a community member, I hate the word member, a title holding property owner of the franchise or of the intellectual property has expanded the franchise into a further result in Battle Bear Flag and the board game. And that credit goes to, I'll take a little bit because, I busted my ass too, but this wouldn't have happened without Joshua here. So he's a catalyst for Battle Bear Flag and Gummy Battle Bear Flag. And if you really enjoy the game, make sure you give him a little tip. Buy his bear merch. You got to do a barrel roll.
Well, again, the merch is for the game. So when we start doing these physical games or these board games, these flags are going to be for everybody. So we have some flags that are already up there, so you guys will be able to play once you guys get down. We challenge everyone to print this out if you are able to, or watch some of our tutorials on how to play. We're going to be putting those up. They're on some of the streams now. But again, the merch is for you guys to have basically a really good time playing the game and being able to be a part of it a little bit more.
And then for YouTubers, I'm copying the I Am My Only Competition collection and putting it in chat. This is a small impact-based collaboration on Kobe Bryant's legacy. As a photographer who was lucky enough to take 2 great shots of him. Well, I took a number of great shots of him throughout his career.
They're all amazing.
But these particularly 2 great shots go together really well to make it look like he is playing and competing against himself. So Kobe Bryant was notoriously known for having an attitude and approaching the game as though he was his only competition. So that's the title of the collection. IMO only competition, and all of the pieces in the collection are minted on either August 8th, 2024, or Josh is looking at it right now. This is August 8th, 2024 at 6:06 p.m. and the first piece.
What's cool about this is it was on the 8th, and obviously you guys know Kobe's numbers,
Yeah.
right? On the 8th, obviously he's wearing the 24 in here.
The 8th month,
Yeah,
the 8th day,
yeah.
the 24th year of the
I don't even
Two-
know. I don't even know
the
what's going on.
2024
I don't
year.
even know what's going on. It's just, it's so aligning. It's so cool.
And then all of these have similar mint dates. So here's another one where it's August. This is August 25th, 2024 at 1:08, but this is Pacific time. So some of these are a little bit later because Kobe has a lot of fans in the Philippines and in Thailand, and I wanted them to have an exclusive window of ownership where only they could have the 24th.
So again, guys, this was all
It's super
designed-
esoteric.
It was all designed a way to make sure he's just a great artist, but it was all designed in a way to appreciate everyone with his art.
I anticipate a museum in Thailand or the Philippines or both
Yeah.
grabbing these shots
Why not?
and putting them in the museum and
They
saying,
can
"Hey,
be
these were
great.
minted in an
Great.
exclusive window of time that where only the date applies here."
Mhm.
And that was done with the foresight. So we have to hang up and go to another meeting. I
We
don't
do.
want to be too late.
Unfortunately, we have to go.
So there's another one, August 24th, 2024.
You were hitting these numbers good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 82424.
You're good.
82424, baby. So this is which one is this? This one is I'm My Only Competition number 32, The Eternal. Please buy this.
It's a beautiful.
I don't know who you are listening. Whoever has 0.8 Ethereum, that's all it costs. There's no markup or anything. Just go to the thing. I'll put it in chat. Please buy this. That's all we need. That's it. Celebrate us, celebrate Kobe, celebrate Let Me Out Productions. Collect this shot. We'll get through the end of the month. We'll get through January. We'll be able to cockroach it for a little bit longer.
You know what's
And-
funny? This right here is going to change the whole game. And Kobe's leading the way.
Yeah. So we're looking at the shot number 32, The Eternal. If you like this and appreciate our teachings on impact puzzles, approaching the intellectual property as a system of account with many pieces of a puzzle, hard capped, to represent the rights, processes, and results contributed by everybody, instead of a single point owned by a governor and then managed by an entity and extracted for all the value that you can squeeze out of it. Let's stop doing it that way. It's just nonsense behavior.
We can be the new behavior of all that.
Everybody.
Stuff. Yeah.
Grassroots, corporate. I know corporates out there, you guys have your processes. It's super buttoned up. But at the same time, it's not. Right? So speed that along. I've got assets here. We're looking at them right now. If you want to provide us resource for what we've actually done for this economy. A lot of people came along and took the impact puzzle and went off and did their own thing with it. And that is part and parcel why the gambling on cartoons took place. It's not necessarily Bored Ape Yacht Club. There are people that use my work to then say, "Oh, let's go copy Bored Ape Yacht Club," and then they went and tried to drop 10,000 worms or 10,000 eagles or 10,000 fuzzy mumpkins or something like that, and they all collapsed. All of them. People spent $50 on one, and then the next day they went to zero.
Well, again, they were used in the wrong way. So we're just correcting the behavior. And
You have to, if you spent $50 on a fuzzy mumpkin and you didn't turn it into a merchandising line, then that's your own fault.
it's okay.
That's how I look at it.
We're gonna show them how that's done the right way, and then leaves also the impact within the communities, right? Because now these guys are positioning themselves as creative owners
Exactly.
for their intellectual property.
And I hope everybody understands now that part of the cartoon cult gambling thing, even as people might find it weird and abhorrent, that's how people are joining the property ownership class. We're trolling our way into it.
Well, we're doing something that's well needed.
It's like if you look at it that way, it's really funny. So let's get going to the other meeting, and I'll
Okay.
see you guys later. Impact Puzzles 101 again. We'll have another one of these soon. All right,
Peace.
bye. Ending space.
I was like, let me out. Productions. No, Musical Bear. Crypto Musical Bears. I was like, oh, damn.
I'll do it on Zoom. Hold on. that's fine. We can save gas.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So Kimani's here too. Good. So, and then it's just Cassandra. Can you hear us? Let me.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Did you call Pat?
I'm gonna switch to the
Yes.
computer real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Did you call Shona?
Recording in progress.
Doing my calls right now.
Lie is here. I want to smoke too. I'm gonna do that in a second. Let's start the video. Wait, what video is it? Yeah, sorry.
All right, Kimani, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?